Going live. Stand by.
Mississippi one, Mississippi.
Okay. We are live. So, hi, I'm Carrie Cassidy from Project Camelot, and I am here with Richard Allen Miller, the wonderful physicist and what do you want to say, polymath extraordinaire, supposedly, and he is worked in black projects, and he is a Navy intelligence, and he's not shy about telling you that. So, okay. And here is Max Rempel. He's a wonderful scientist. But I'm going to have you guys introduce yourselves on your own too, because just brief introductions. Okay. And then we're going to launch into the various topics we want to discuss. And we also have another guest who's going to show up maybe in an hour or 45 minutes. Okay. Okay. So let's go. So we'll start with Max Rempel. So Max was on my show quite a while ago. We had a fabulous show many years ago, and it's still on my website. So you can still look up his name. Rempel, I think is it spelled. So Max, go ahead and introduce yourself.
Okay, I work in mainstream science, providing services for DNA sequencing, genotyping, bioinformatic analysis, and analyzing DNA. And in alternative science, I research extraterrestrial alien hybridization program and wrote 3 books on that. I visited Rick, and together we study resonance, DNA resonance, resonance genetics, wave genomics. And I'm located in San Diego, and right now I would like to present, like in an hour, I would like to present my new project, which is alien extraterrestrial genetics project, research project.
Wonderful. That's awesome. Okay, Rick, do you want to give yourself a brief introduction?
Yeah, I'm just, I came out of grad school and worked for Boeing, and then went into anesthesiology and worked with the boys from Brazil. And it was, I think, in 1972 when I published the holographic concept of reality. And then in 1973, when I published the embryonic holography, they came in and classified it top secret for 20 years. And what happened was Guriev and Popov quoted from it in 1992. I think Max studied under Guriev or Popov, and I think it was Guriev. And then when he started his...
I spoke to him twice.
What's that? Say what? I didn't hear what you said. Oh, okay. In any case, from there, I started working under Dr. Karl Schleicher, and I guess Schleicher was a Nazi like von Braun. He's the guy that did all the creepy things that nobody else could do, because von Braun did space. And so he took me to Groom Lake. I guess I'm the last scientist alive to work MJ12, Project MJ12 or Majestic. And then I went on.
Why do you think that, Rick, by the way?
What's
Why
that?
do you think you're the last? Why do you think you're the last scientist to work with MJ12? Why do you think you even know that? They're not going to say, "Hi, Rick, you're the last scientist to work."
That just got told to me when I did. Yeah, I was informed.
I see.
Because apparently nobody Groom Lake's closed now, and
Right.
when I met Krill,
It just got moved over to Idaho and out in
talked
Scandinavia.
about him on other shows. Yeah, but Krill was supposedly when Roswell happened, they found 2 dead aliens and a dying alien died. They did an autopsy.
Wait, you broke up. So they found 2 dead aliens and a what kind of alien?
Say again, what happened?
You broke up. You broke up. Can you repeat the sentence?
Why
They
would I
found
break up?
2
Nothing
dead
broke.
aliens.
So we're being hacked. Okay. When Roswell happened, there were 2 dead aliens and a dying alien. And when the dying alien died, a 4th alien appeared wanting a buddy, because apparently they can resurrect them or something. I don't understand any of that. That was way back when.
Yeah, they do soul transfer and all that.
Right. Right. It went on to different presidents. when Nixon was the last one to do that, and that was why I went into his Oval Office once a week. I had to report on what I knew, what I didn't know, and what I was concerned about. And it involved a lot of things, not just MJ-12. MJ-12 is where I started. Most of it was paranormal studies for the military. Mm-hmm. And my mentor, Stan Krippner, is the one that took me 1970 to New York. You'll find that in Galaxies of Consciousness. That is where I was published with Carillion Photography. And that's where he introduced me to Ed Mitchell, so I could be at Mission Control in 71 to do the ESP studies. That's a long time ago in a faraway universe.
Okay, I didn't know you worked with Ed Mitchell. I don't remember that.
Yeah, Mission Control. I'm the guy that did the ESP studies with him in 1971. You know, just going, the reason they have that serious countdown floor is they have to punch a hole in the ionosphere to get the astronaut through it, or you have a Challenger 1 experiment, Challenger experiment. And Mitchell just going through that hole and around the moon and back without even getting out of his crap. He's never going to have children. He's lost 10 years of his life. That's how toxic space is. People don't realize you can't just go to in a space capsule anywhere you want to, because the gamma rays are just going through the Earth, and neutrinos and all that rest of it. That's why I think our petri dish is out here on the rim rather than down in galactic center. Can you imagine the activity down there with radiation and kinds of particles that we don't even get yet? We're basically like sugar ants in Gaia's kitchen. Now, what I'm doing now is I'm trying to write what I used to do, and good luck with that. And these guys here, they're with me, are going down to the Rainbow Gathering, which is a big rock festival, started before even Burning Man. And apparently I'm one of the founders of that, from Growing Family out of Seattle. We started it in 1971 after what's her name? Got out of her train and gave me a little piece of her heart. We were so blown away that we ended up doing further rock festivals up there in Canada and in the Okinagans, and that later became the Rainbow Gathering. And it started out of Seattle and the Okinagans, and you'll get to interview some of these guys and what that's all about.
Oh, all right, so that happens every year.
Look at Max grinning over there. Oh, that's just a picture of him.
Yeah, that's just a picture.
Look at him now. Oh man, am I aging?
Are you what?
Have you seen me get older?
A little bit.
Oh no. I need my weird.
Not a lot. You actually stay remarkably youthful looking.
Max, he had that leer like he does. It was really wonderful meeting Max, and it's been my honor, Max, to be part of what you're doing. And anything I can do, I'm grateful. And thank you. It helps.
Thank you very much. Yeah, it's fun.
Yeah, but thanks, Max. And I hope
so now that we've got the introductions out the way, let's get into these topics, because you had a list of things you want to talk about, right, Rick?
Well, I can tell you, I'll go where you want to go, because this is your show. I need to sell my
That'll be the first time. Just kidding.
Well, what would you like to know about Saturn? Okay, so the new Diamond Body book that just came out was when I moved the Manager Foundation from Topeka, Kansas in 1974 to the UW, and added video feedback. And what that did was the birth of cymatics. In 1979, Electromagic, which isn't out now yet, is when I used Mora and Indomet and bypassed the use of drugs and broke a code on the forehead where I could release any neurotransmitter I wanted, any high. And in 1983, using both of those.
But cymatics is already being done on the Earth in stone circles.
Well, Skinwalker Ranch.
These are ancient
Skinwalker Ranch is not about wormholes. And we'll talk about wormholes in a second.
Well, actually, it is
different than a vortex. And
yeah, well,
then let's talk about
a vortex can lead to a wormhole.
You know, that NASA just discovered the same geometry I used in 1983 to take 12 NASA scientists to Mars. They just discovered it on Saturn. And if you don't think NASA wants to know where that wormhole goes,
I'm sure they know by now.
Well, who knows where it goes? One thing it does mean is that our solar system is a life form. That's what that indicates.
Yes. I mean,
Sun
even
serves-
Cameron Faley said that. He said all the planets are consciousness.
Well, like Gaia, yeah, Gaia serves Sol, and Sol serves the solar system.
Well, it's
And then
basically
who knows
Tara.
where the wormhole goes,
Okay,
and
yeah.
it goes downhill from here because basically we're sugar imps in Gaia's kitchen with our.
I don't believe that. Okay, I don't appreciate that analogy. But
Well,
if you
it's,
want to
we're
refer to
losing
yourself as a
capacity and
sugar
everything. It's
ant,
what's
then that's
causing
your
me
business.
to have urinary
But-
problems.
That's just one approach, you know, that you,
I know it's mine. It doesn't.
Okay,
mean
yeah.
and I know.
okay.
I don't.
I think source and all the other lower hierarchies think a lot more of us than that.
Well, who knows?
Otherwise, they wouldn't waste so much time on us, but whatever.
Yeah, whatever. Oh, yourself, you know. I love when you do that, by the way, because when you do that, you go up like that, and you're in an altered state. And that altered state, the laws of physics are different, and you can do things you can't do with consciousness. And what I'm trying to do now is I only gave 8 altered states to the SEAL program, and I turned them into super soldiers. Can you imagine if man had access to 400 different altered states, what we could become?
Yes.
I have no clue.
Well, we're moving in that direction.
Good luck with that. That's why we have every 12,000.
We probably need some luck, but nonetheless, we are.
Well, maybe Saturn is a get out of jail card. It's got a.
On the other hand, maybe it is.
44,000. What do you think? All aboard?
I think, well, Saturn has always been the taskmaster. It's much more, it is a portal into other galaxies, but it's also been the taskmaster. And it's been, you know, Saturn is basically holding your feet to the ground. So
Let's try this one on. In 1974, under Schleicher, I flew over the Oregon vortex, okay, with a PBY at 15,000 feet. Now, what bends the light at 15,000 feet? That's a mini black hole. And I'm going to suggest that the so-called ley lines and the Bermuda Triangle are all a series of mini black holes and a specific geometry going into the out of. Oh, that's Alan Dean Foster, another book he wrote after he wrote Outland and Star Wars. And he lives in Ashland, a good friend of mine. And I can tell you, I know I don't know, because, and I'm as good as it gets. And I'm
okay,
sitting
but
here.
wait, are you saying that George Lucas didn't write Star Wars?
Alan Dean Foster wrote. Alan Dean Foster. Check it out.
He wrote it, not George Lucas.
No,
Star
Lucas
Wars?
produced it. Foster.
Yeah, but he was supposed to have written it as well.
Well, no, he didn't. It was Alan Dean Foster, and he wrote
All right.
Outland. And
Sorry?
he wrote another one called Outland. They made that
Outland.
into a movie also. Yeah,
Yeah, I
and then he
think that
wrote
was
another
on
one
for-
called Into the Out of, which is an excellent one about a bunch of African medicine men doing their little thing, and all of a sudden a portal appears and a bunch of demons pour out of it, kind of
Yeah.
like a Stargate. And that's in my diamond body, where I'm going to suggest that Saturn is a Stargate for what is about to happen, and a bunch of us trying to escape this petri dish that happens every 12,000 years. You know, Neanderthal came out of Cro-Magnon, and they had 3 DNA helixes, not 2 like man does. And I don't know what it all means.
Actually, man has 12 or 24
Well, I'm
or
talking
even more than that, 48. I mean, there's a lot of lies about how many helixes, so to speak, we have. And even that is maybe,
That's why Max is quoting
Misnomer.
from my original work in 73. And I'm going to say that I know I don't know. Physics, all physics, this is really important, starts with an assumed truth. And that's why I will say, Simon says you can go halfway to the door. Physics will get you close. No cigar. Because is the earth round or flat? And the correct answer is yes. And if you look at it this way, you have all these doors to go through. Or you
except
look at
that,
it
the
way.
flat earth was a psyop, that military intelligence.
Well, I can prove the earth's flat if my assumed truth is that space is curved. I'm trying to do it as a physicist. I'm not trying to do it as, okay, as a physicist, all physics begins with an assumed truth. And it's only as good as your assumption. And that, you know, if you assume the Earth
Okay,
is,
but we know a lot more about space than we ever used to. And they are using that to go interdimensional. And if you go
well, what is space
interdimensional,
exactly, Terry? Like time.
it's in and out. It's inside and out of us. It's both.
It's not real. It's a
It's
concept.
as real as we are.
Okay. Thank you, Mom. May I have another?
Okay, so
Good luck with
Wait.
that one, Terry. In
no.
this case, what I do know is I don't know.
All
And-
right.
And
Fine.
I'm gonna
Okay.
suggest-
That's not going to let you off the hook here. Okay.
No.
So,
Captain Hook or the Clarabelle one? Honk, honk, honk. Hey, kids, what time is it?
all right. So,
I
are
watched
we
the
going
last
to,
one.
okay, let's go down the road that you wanted to go down in various ways.
Okay,
Are you
so
wanting to talk about these earth changes or want to talk about Max
sure,
Rempel's
we can
work?
do that. We can talk about that.
Which topic should we do?
Right now, the sun's core has changed, and
Okay.
the core of Earth has almost stopped again, like it did last year twice. And when it stops, if it starts spinning in the opposite direction, which it has done for the last 5 epochs, then we have a magnetic pole shift. It happens every 12,000 years and has a 3 sigma error coefficient. That means a 99.9975% probability of the event occurring. And here's the bad news. I couldn't do that study because there's no written records on what happened. I had to go into geology. That's how bad it is. Here's some possibly good news. There's another phenomena besides ESP that I worked with the military called billet reading. It's like Keith Milton Reinhardt, Jack Schwartz, Uri Geller, Keith Milton Reinhardt came into my class to do a billet reading for 102 of my students. He only missed it on 2. What is a billet reading? Well, on mine, I write on a piece of paper. That means I have to do something physical. I write, prove to me you're not reading my mind. Put it in my pocket. And he comes to me, he doesn't know what the question is. And his response to me was this. In your mother's bedroom is a hope chest at the front of the bed. And at the very bottom of that hope chest is a letter that was written 2 days before you were born. And he goes to the next person. How did he do that? Okay, so some credible women that are as viable as Keith Milton Reinhardt, Jack Schwartz, or some of the others that did that concept, which is different than ESP, you know, thinking with the gut instinct.
Right.
Basically, the military said, what would be the switch? Because these women came out and said, something just turned off the AI on Mars that's been controlling our solar system for 2 billion years. What would that switch be? And what I came up with for the military, okay, was Betelgeuse being blocked for 4 days in November by Nibiru. And
in December.
Probability
okay. Yes.
2 celestial bodies that far apart from each other, blocking each other at that very moment?
Right.
That probably, who knows, the switch.
We did run that down in our other interview. So I want to make sure that people, you know, get new information right now. So, okay. So that is the premise, but it's not necessarily, I mean, in theory, also, they went down to Antarctica and they also supposedly got that information there. Whether it's actually true or not, whether the AI that was running Mars is no longer running Mars, the AI that's running Earth is still running Earth. It's very possible these AIs could even go 1 minute and be gone and then be back in a second later, right?
Well, that's one way of looking at things. The other possibility is that you can't get there from here because the field theory I'm writing with Max, and he's going to talk about that later, is on the multiverse, where there's a show where you didn't do me, we never met, and you never dated Neil. And all of those realities are happening right now.
You're not supposed to share my personal life with the audience. Okay.
But what I'm trying to say is all the things that happen just
that's today, the Seth material, though. You know, that's written into the Seth material.
Is only one part of that. Imagination is
Said
reality.
multiple
I was
timelines, new
eight
timelines
on
being
level
created all the time.
I'm sorry.
He said multiple timelines, new timelines being
Well,
created all the time.
timelines are not quite what I'm suggesting.
Okay, well, whatever you want to call them.
Multiverse, which is the space what Max is doing studies on in the space between when it's called the proton cloud, in the space between when a proton is a particle and when it becomes a wave. And you and I are only experiencing one of a million different dreams of you and May doing other things together. There's probably a universe where you and I are dating. No, I'm just suggesting.
In your fondest fantasy, maybe.
Don't wink at me like that. It creeps me out. Anyway, some of your other guys.
Oh, okay, so listen, I still want to make sure that we go to the right topic. How are you talking to Max Rempel now? Because you guys
right
are
now,
working
Max
on
is
something.
a biologist that would like somebody to write a new field theory to supersede the holographic universe, basically to encompass his research in what he calls the proton cloud. And I'm going to be using super string, where I take 10 strings, add a super third 11th string as an interconnecting wormhole, and then I'm going to be a little Boy Scout tying knots in them, and not using knot theory. I'll use a virtual form, and basically it's going to, I make sure I'll have 13 turns on that one knot so that it breaks my neck. I'll make sure of that for you, Terry, I promise. But that's what knot theory is going to be about, and I'm going to try to write the map to supersede my holographic.
Well, I think that just a bunch of grapes is a better description.
Sorry?
A bunch of grapes on a vine is a better description.
Okay.
Than knots. Just saying.
Well, knot theory is the math I'm going to use. I'm going to use the form of coupled knot theory. Sorry about that.
Okay.
May I have another, please? But Nax's work is, in my humble opinion, really important. And that's why I wanted to bring him on, because I think what he's doing is important. And I think his new project is very important. And,
okay, let's talk about your new project before we go to his. Okay, so let's kind of complete, that, because you have a new project and it's based to some degree. It's based to some degree on this possible event. Now, remember, you had reported to me
stuff I did back in the 70s.
I understand, but you reported to me like 2 years ago, said in 2024 April we were going to have an event. Then you pushed
I don't know.
2025, and now and now what's kind of interesting is there is some kind of event, whether it's related or not, that Cliff High is predicting for July 15th. Unfortunately, you haven't watched that video, so you don't know about it. He has this language, where his web bot reads the emotions of humans, and apparently there's a huge spike that is not explainable by the data that is happening on July 15th. That's very soon. Okay,
that's interesting, and I'm going to be monitoring that. I can tell you I don't know.
Okay.
The wiggle room on when the event is 120 years with 12,000 years, even at 3 sigma error coefficient, the wiggle room is 120 years plus or minus. Okay. And so with that said, from a scientific point of view, call it. You know what I mean? I don't know. I thought it was going to happen here when the core of Earth stopped twice.
Right.
Because once the core of Earth,
why is the core of Earth
in the opposite direction is when, and on the West Coast, it will be that volcano off of Crescent City that goes off that will drop by 5.
Okay, why is it stopping? Do you know why the core of Earth would be stopping?
It does it every 12,000 years and starts spinning in the opposite direction.
That's all you know.
Your magnetic pole shift. That's the study I did under Schleifer.
My understanding is it actually has to be triggered manually.
Well, I'm the guy that did the study, and I know I don't know. I had to use geology. I used 5 different epochs, and the consistency of it happening was unbelievable. And all the planets except Earth and Mercury have switched already now, had magnetic pole shifts. Not Earth, not Mercury yet. And the sun is doing it right now with that sunspot that's coming back a third time. And when you start watching all the volcanoes starting to go off, you know, everyone keys off of Yellowstone. The one that I'm primarily is going to be Mauna Loa, that sets off that volcano that doesn't have a name off of Crescent City. And when that volcano goes off, everything drops on the Pacific coast all the way down. And good luck with life forms existing, because it will be so catastrophic that nothing's written, you know, including your so-called.
Well, some of the information is that they were trying to trigger that back in around 2004, somewhere around that.
That's right.
And then they were stopped. And so what you're basically saying, and what I think might be going on, is they have learned how to trigger solar flares from the sun and to direct them. You know, in the past, ET ships apparently redirected the flares away from us.
I really like
the secret space program.
Oh, Carol Rosen. I don't think it. Well,
Carol Rosen is not really. I mean, she might be under orders from them, but it goes much deeper than that. Yes, part of it is run by the Nazis.
Okay, the Nazis, von Braun, Schleicher, those guys.
Have you ever read a book called by Jim Marrs called The Fourth Reich?
I know Jim.
That
remember Jim was a personal friend of mine. And,
well, I'm not surprised.
Well, no,
and Jim he was also a remote viewer, by the way.
Yeah. Well, Jim I met him in Brisbane and working when I was writing for Nexus way back when. And yeah, Jim interviewed me. The problem is, I don't think we're ever going to really know what happened, because I don't think it works like that. And I actually start to now think that any biped, like with a face, 2 arms and 2 legs, that's humanoid, and man's next stage is in an evolution. And I've seen aluminum-based life forms. That's creepy. I mean, I'm talking about really creepy. And so I know that I don't know. And I now start to think maybe Krill is me in the future programming me to talk like I am right now, to try to save some people in terms of opening their minds to the possibility. I don't know what's going on.
Maybe he's not you. Okay. So, I mean, I appreciate that you like to think he's you, but that can be very convenient. It can also just as easily be someone else.
Well, I think
it's another race of beings. There's no reason to exclude those other possibilities.
Yeah, and I'm too old to. Anyway, they wanted me to go to Saturn, and if I had gone to Saturn with my team that they're going to send, find out what that wormhole is, I can tell you that I would become a time traveler, because just 1 year of my life going to Saturn and back, I'd be able to meet your great granddaughter. Time changes. Just going to Saturn and coming back to Earth. I would.
Well, it depends if you admit to warp speed and the fact that we go interdimensional, and that our space.
I know I don't know. Haven't gone to Saturn. I haven't gone around.
Well, maybe they haven't included you in, but my other whistleblowers talk about this with no problem. So
I'm not a whistleblower. I don't want to be a whistleblower. I'd like to.
Why? A whistleblower is a good thing. It's someone who tells the truth. Okay, so let's move on to you think there's a 3 sigma possibility of something, but you don't know when it is, and you can't tie it down beyond that, right? So you said 120-year window.
These psychics that said this thing about the AI being turned off on Mars is possibly true, in which case maybe we've all been given a get out of jail card. I don't know.
Yes.
I don't.
Anything's possible. Okay.
Well, then
so we're kind of in that business here.
Everything is not anything is possible. Everything is possible. Not only possible, it is.
Okay. So Max, are you there?
I like that.
Max?
Max? Hello.
Okay. Maybe he took a break or whatever. Yeah. Max, you there? All right. So in terms of let's talk about your latest books before Max comes
The
back.
Diamond Body.
Unless okay, here he is. Okay.
Okay, there he is.
Hi,
Good.
Max.
Hi, Max.
So
Yeah, sorry, just
what is
stepped for
your
1 minute away. Yeah.
sorry, what is your new project that you and Rick you're going to be working on together, right? Can you
All
describe
right.
that?
Yep. So I started Extraterrestrial Genetics Project 1.org. So I invite everybody just to look it up, xg1.org.
Great.
And I publish all the ideas that come right online, so there is no secrets. Everything is out there.
Okay, that's lovely.
There are lots of ideas, and they started from Ross Colhart recently announcing that there are funds for research on extraterrestrials, scientific research on extraterrestrials. He said lots of money, and that kind of got me going, like, what can we do when we have some money? Because ufologists usually don't have any money for research, so imagine at least a bit of money. And I thought about what genomics projects, DNA sequencing projects can we do right away. So one of the projects, it was about 15 years ago, maybe a little less, around 2012. Lloyd Pye, he went away, he's not with us anymore, but Lloyd Pye had a star child skull, and we communicated by email back and forth. I think we even did Zoom meeting with him, or whatever it was at that time. It was before Zoom. He did just a little bit of sequencing, just a few markers. So it was very small scale analysis of the DNA from the skull. And at that time, it was already possible to sequence the whole genome. So we estimated the money needed, but we never moved forward. But it already back then I already realized that it's possible. So now I know exactly what does it cost, because that's what I do in mainstream, providing the services for researchers to do. Yep, that's it. For the researchers to do the analysis. So the simplest analysis we can do is very cheap. Essentially, there is a lot of services similar to 23andMe, and like 10 services, but 23andMe is the most popular, where you can submit your DNA and can get your DNA genotype. So how different is sequencing from genotyping? In sequencing, you sequence from very beginning to the very end, all the letters of the genome, all 6 billion letters, A, G, C, T. And then in genotyping, you look only at half a million letters, which are variable. So it is possible to do right now. So the difference, so there are already two projects which are possible. One is sequencing ancient skulls, or modern skulls which look unusual, and another one to sequence to genotype the DNA of hybrids, alien hybrids, basically starseeds, abductees, and experiencers. The difference between an abductee and experiencer is abductee is taken without their explicit permission by the person. So aliens or whoever takes the people, impregnates them with some hybrid embryos, and puts them back on Earth. And experiencers are people who experience something usually voluntarily. So both of them come in families, and these families have more and more alien hybridization happening. And it would be nice to genotype some of these people. And I think just from... Go ahead.
I see, except that, I mean, you have a premise that might be slightly skewed, because we are all hybrids. Humans are a hybrid race, as far as I'm concerned.
Yep.
And my information is, so that means that it doesn't matter whether you call him an indigo or whatever you call him, but it's just a different version. But it's all and our genetics are being messed with by alien races, and have been through the eons.
Yep.
Ashiana Dean's books, the Voyager books, document the invasions by various races into Earth and into humanity. So I would suggest just sequencing like some theoretical piece of the human genome would not be necessarily accurate, right?
Great question. So basically, we have ancient hybridization and modern hybridization.
Yes.
And in between, there is a natural evolution of humans. So I'm not saying that there were also like native ancestors of humans, like primates,
Actually,
hominid and
according to
hominids.
Ashyanadine, we made them. They didn't make us.
Say again?
Primates, we
Yeah.
made them. They're
Uh-huh.
a step down from us. We contribute our genetics to make them, with the help of the aliens who do genetic engineering.
It sounds quite possible, yep.
So rather than coming from them, they came from us. It's just a different way of looking at it, but I think it's a more enlightened way of looking at it. But anyway, continue.
Sure. So basically, I think ancient alien hybridization could be distinguished from modern alien hybridization, but it requires looking very, very closely and very thoroughly.
Right.
Especially, I think, is interesting to look at self-identification of the star seeds and correlate it with the sequence. Essentially, what happens, different families are subjects of different races. So like one race would hybridize their genes, and subjects would remember that they were taken by this race, and another race would be hybridized by another family. So they usually don't take the same families. They have different subjects, and they don't touch. They have like division between our responsibilities, and many of the hybrids, they know whose hybrids they are. So if you do the interview and then we test their DNA and we find out that reptilian hybrids have one pattern and Pleiadian have another pattern, the gray and Yael would have another patterns, I think that's plenty. That's already a big discovery. We'll have the patterns of different alien races just from volunteers.
Okay, so let me ask you, when did you devise this idea? Because in many ways, you're working with the maybe secret space program on this, or this is a secret project, or this is your own project.
As I said, I play always with open cards. Everything that gets into my idea is published right away.
Okay.
In my head. So the idea came 5 days ago. Like the new idea is 5 days ago. It's like very, very fresh.
Okay.
So I just listened to Ross Colhart, and I figured out how much would it cost, and I created the website, and I showed the project to a few people, including Ross, and there was lots of positive feedback. So I think that there is it's quite unique, and possibly it's possible. So it looks like it would cost about a couple million just to do everything. It's
Can
not.
I ask you something?
All right.
You're an intelligent man. Do you not think that the deep state secret space program has already done this, has already thought of this idea? They haven't made
Great.
it public,
Yeah.
but
I sent
wouldn't
you.
say they've already done it?
Yeah, I sent you a list of questions. Did you read the questions?
No, I haven't had.
Yeah, it was one of the questions I sent you. Yeah.
Oh, wonderful. I didn't see any questions from you. I don't know.
Oh, sure. So yeah, that's an obvious question. Obviously, aliens know their sequence. Secret space
All
project
right.
knows the
So
sequence.
you want to do it
It's-
publicly.
It's
Right.
only public that doesn't know.
Yes. I think it's great. That's awesome. But I don't know how many people will be willing to contribute their DNA. Are you going to do yourself and Richard Allen Miller?
Absolutely, yeah.
Okay, good.
So essentially, we can I offer the service right away. So people pay $300, volunteers.
All right.
Pay it to me. I've already posted the PayPal payment. I send them the envelope with the kit to brush the cheek from inside the mouth.
I see.
It's just enough material, so you have like a small brush. Put it in a tube provided with a storage solution, which is alcohol. Close the cup, put an envelope, mail it out. It goes to one of the service providers, so I don't even touch the samples.
Okay.
I get the 500,000 genotypes, variants, and I analyze that. And initially, I can just say if there is anything unusual. But then if we get and they also go the online interview. And once they go interview, then we can accumulate number of samples, and then we'll give them the information, more information about if they have like reptilian, Pleiadian, or some other DNA. But we need to collect some number of samples to do the
that's
statistics.
very nice. I mean, even though it sort of lends itself to a kind of a track and trace thing that a lot of people are paranoid about at this point, but I think it would break through the religious barriers out there, because a lot of those people like to think that even visitors from other planets aren't like beings that are worthy of respect and dealing with. In other words, they say they're non-human. If something's non-human, they tend to deride that, and it's going to make relations with other planets, other species, very difficult when you have a very bad attitude, right?
Right.
So I just think it might be a good icebreaker. Have you had any I mean, you said you only thought of doing this and make it public 3 days. Did you say 3 days?
5 days. 5 days. Yep.
5 days. Have you had any interaction with any intelligence agencies since then?
No.
Not to your knowledge.
Yeah, I think I'm being watched, and they know I'm playing with open cards. There is nothing to hide. So
Sure.
I think it's in their interest. I think there is an agenda of introducing the public to the aliens, and that's, I think, is not
So you think
against.
the time is probably good?
Yeah, I hope it is good.
Yeah. Well, I think it might be. I mean, I think you might be onto something here. So that's very cool. Is there anything more you can tell us about like the process? Because you're like, is it a team? Are you hiring a team, or if you get enough funding, you'll hire a team, right?
Exactly. Yeah. So I'm seeing like three paths. One is if we are lucky, people will just start paying and analyzing their DNA. I think the service is viable by itself, because just analyzing the chemical analysis is under $100. So bioinformatic analysis, if we pack multiple samples together, we can do under a few $1,000s. We can do the initial analysis to look if there is something unusual. So we already can return to them some information. And so that project possibly can pay for itself. That's one path.
Right.
Second path is hopefully we can get a grant. Maybe some sponsors, or maybe some organizations would be interested in sponsoring that. There is a couple of organizations which sponsor UFO research. Maybe that would fall under that interest. So I think if we invite,
I think that there's some 3-letter agencies that would definitely like to volunteer. No, just kidding.
yeah. No, I'm talking about public. I think
know.
3-letter agencies, DARPA, I don't think they want to associate with me. I already wrote to them the proposals in the past, and they asked for clarification, and after that they said, no, come when your research is done. So they're not ready to invest.
Okay. Well, I think it has potential to be enlightening, but I also think it might be potentially dangerous.
Of course.
But it's nothing we can do. In a certain sense, it is said that we are already tracked and traced to the nth degree. So
Right.
it may kind of be nothing new along those lines. But it's fun. And I think maybe you should have like a chat room or some kind of place where people can talk about it.
Yes, that's one of the ideas. What do you think would be the best platform, like Facebook or Google Groups or some other platform for discussions? Should it be open or closed?
Well, other than having free membership, I think maybe that might be the way to go. Just, being it open,
Yeah.
not charging people to, but of course you will need a moderator, because there's lots of trolls out there that'll try to make people's lives miserable. So then, you have to have somebody to
Yeah.
mediate.
Yeah, I run many Facebook groups and some of the Google groups, but maybe there is a more enlightened platform. I just don't know.
Yeah, I'm sure there is actually somewhere
On
else.
nin.com, there are platforms like which are a little bit more enlightened.
Okay, so on the science side, how is Richard Allen Miller going to help you?
So far, the main help from Rick is spiritual. When he is on board, he's such a great fighter that when he is nearby, I feel much braver. Like I was writing papers with him, and when the first time I put his name on the paper, and he founded the field of DNA resonance. It was his talk was in '72. So when I put his name on the paper, all blocks went away. I wrote like very inspired. I wasn't afraid to say anything. So I think that's the best contribution. I think we are like telepathically connected more than physically, but his presence is sensed. Yeah.
Okay, that sounds wonderful. Rick, do you want to say anything about this project? You're muted.
Yeah. Can you unmute yourself?
I can't hear you.
That's how I
Muted.
unmuted it. I haven't used this system for so long. Thank you. Sorry about that. Yeah, it's an honor to work with Max. Max is a biologist, and his work actually is impressive. And I'm honored to be even associated with him and he and some of the other people that he writes with. Actually, Max, you look weird with your new hair. I love it. But I know that there's something important that's going to come out of this. I couldn't possibly tell you what it is. I work with Instinct. Stay tuned. Film at 11. Same bad channel. Same bad time.
All right. Okay. Well, it sounds like very fascinating, and we can see where it's going to go. I think it's important to, I don't know if you want to have categories or you're just going to throw everyone in the same basket. It sounds like you want to isolate certain age groups. Is that right?
Yeah, I don't know what I'm trying to do right now except finish my unfinished manuscripts. And I just was sharing with Ari, the new guy I'm going to bring on here in a minute, the amount of manuscripts I haven't finished that I started. I've got stuff that it's really creepy being made. I don't know why, but I keep coming up. I'm doing a brand new book called The Brain Spa that Nick Begich and I originally wanted to do. Nick realized he didn't have the technology, and so I ended up doing power tools, which were the 8 protocols I gave for Navy SEALs. But I've recently met Scott Twilley on the East Coast. He's a medical doctor in Alabama that is a fan, young, like Ari, but doing alternative medicine, right? You know, with a long client list, working with herbal pharmacy where pharmacy is broken. And The Brain Spa is a book that we're going to co-author, and I'll explain that in a minute. If it works right, there's one of the Microsoft owners in Seattle that is a good personal friend of mine, owns a train station, which is now 3-story with antiques in Seattle. And what he's going to do is like what we did with Starbucks. He's going to put a prototype brain spa in there. And if that works, we're going to clone them across the country. Now, the brain spa on floor 1 will have ibogaine, which cures all forms of addiction with one single use. I watched lots off take a 16-year IV user off of Amsterdam Park, and in a 30-hour series of nightmares. Oh, by the way, it has to be clinically induced, because if you do it yourself, you're going to kill yourself. Ibogaine is that dangerous. However, the 16-year IV user, after 30 hours of with nursing constantly monitoring his body, at the end of 30 hours, never has any more addiction to heroin, did not go through the terrible withdrawals. How does that work? And when he lit up a cigarette, looked at it, doesn't smoke anymore either. And it does things like spousal abuse, gambling, anger, anything you'd like to do. Second floor will be a functional MRI that will be able to identify what's wrong in different parts of your body, like my hand. The third floor, we use brain drivers where you go in and reprogram yourself, how you want to do it. Who's important to you, Neil or your sister? Now, your boyfriend or your sister, and you might not know, and it might be this way. And there's a process to discover that, and then using brain drivers, you can change it if you want to. In other words, you can reprogram yourself doing yourself, and will be an augment for self-medication using herbal pharmacy rather than pharmacy and medicine. And
Okay. Now, what about this idea? Because there's an organization that has a doctor who is actually under attack from the dark side, but he has done an experiment that was successful. And what it involved was he took the frequency of the entire bodies of, I think it was two young people that had very excellent health. So they looked all over the earth, supposedly, for these people. And they found these certain ones. And then they took the frequency of their entire body, all different organs, everything like that. And then they put it into this computer or whatever. And then they took the frequencies and they aimed it at an old person who had diseases or whatever, right? And then they were cured. So what do you think of that?
I'd love to have those beamed at me. I could use being younger again.
Well, this is real. This is real. And these people, this doctor is being protected by what I call the white hats. And this is a real thing. I've interviewed the principal behind the scenes. I'm not in the public way. And so I have followed this up with some research and interactions, and I can tell you that this is real. So I'm just curious, what do you think about that? So frequencies you get from one place aimed at another being.
Physics, we don't talk about frequencies. We talk about bandwidth, a series of frequencies. What frequency means 448.
Well, I'm saying frequencies with an S.
440 to 448, and radiation. One of my downloads it's an ebook on my website, gives you all the dosimetry, that's the correct word in physics, of what bandwidths affect what parts of the body, from infrared down to ultraviolet, and all the microwave bands, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, in your so-called gigahertz range of frequencies. And all your different organs have dosimetry of being affected by certain bandwidths, your heart, your throat, your thyroid, your eyes, whatever. That's why you don't use the blue lights on automobiles at night, because it hurts your eyes. And this book is Dr. Beal's work, where he did studies on all the different dosimetry. That's LD50 ratio. That means exposed to this bandwidth of light, for 50% of the humans will die. That's what LD50 means. So, and that's available so you can know what bandwidths, like when a child holds a cell phone up to her ear, you ought to see what happens to her brain and different action in her brain, because the brain cells are different than that of a human that's an adult.
Okay, but are you saying that you understand that this could work, or are you saying that you're skeptical, or what are you trying to say? Because you're kind of describing how it might work, but you're not actually telling me that if the information I gave you, that you believe it or you don't believe it. Maybe you can talk to this doctor and I could put you in touch with him.
Directly to your question, I would say I use my belief system as a tool.
Okay, but would you question it then?
What's that?
Would you question it? Would you like to talk to the doctor, for example?
Yeah, I'd love to. I'd like to know more about it. Absolutely.
Okay.
Please, yes, it's very interesting. What I'm going to say is the brain spot, for example, is where you use your belief system like you would a pair of tools or clothing. Change it for the day.
Well, if you know Richard Bartlett, then you know he does things with that, right? All the time.
That's what I'm trying to say. The belief systems are not supposed to be absolute.
He just said it. I believe it. And that's that.
No. Well, that's creepy. I go to church for fellowship. I seek out people that have a belief system that I aspire toward. And that's why I go to a lot of different churches, because this church has a large group of people that believe that money is not important. And that's a belief I would like to embrace myself more with, or this church over here, fellowship. And for me, belief is arbitrary and is being programmed every day. I remember when I was programmed with Clarabelle. Honk, 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 honk. Hey, kids, what time is it? Howdy doody. That's before most people. And then it went downhill from there with the government.
Okay, I don't want to get too far off the topic here. So we've kind of talked to you about how you're going to contribute a bit to at least Max's idea here. But Max, is there anything? Okay.
Max, what I'm hoping to do is find out what the Ant-Men in Mexico were about that had the elongated skull, or Nephilim that have these big skulls. Is that a human at some point, DNA, or is that something else? And I'm really,
or are we becoming humanoid? And are we going on? Are we actually being
taking over? Yeah,
I don't know, along a trajectory that's transhuman?
Yeah, I think.
And at what point will your evidence or your information, Max, start reading that out? Even with the advent of the COVID nanographene oxide,
what you're doing right now is setting up a group of people to have a certain way of looking at things. And I'm going to suggest that that's a tool that could be used to change us from wormholes where we share one dream with another to becoming Lucy, where you're everywhere, everything right now. And
eventually,
that's our concept of God. And man can become what he considers God. And newsflash, that's only halfway to God, because God is not knowable. God, you can only experience him. And that's the limitation of man as a life form, per se. And the solar system is aware of us like Gaia is a life form. I think her nervous system are the mycelium, which is the first and third largest life form on Earth. The second life form, the largest life form on Earth, by the way, is Intelleride, which is an aspen forest. Now, I know I don't know. This is the way I conceptually try to look at things as a tool to move me to the next level. Is it working? I don't think so very well. I'm still here. Oh, that's Ram Dass. Sorry.
All right. So, Max, I asked you a question you didn't really answer yet.
So, I don't have an answer.
No, I not you, Max. So, Max?
Yes.
I wanted to know if you have told us everything you would like to say about your project, or if there's some other aspects that you would like to discuss.
Sure. Yeah. Actually, Rick answered one of the main questions: where would you go from here, right? Once you identified alien sequences, what do you do with them? And apparently, many of good races are trying to fix our genetics, which was disturbed and became disharmonized. So what I expect to see is the improvement of patterns, like fractal patterns, periodic patterns, harmonious patterns in the genome. And they would bring us the telepathic ability, the ability to be psychic, better mind, and for reptilians they have exceptional ability to regenerate. So health. Reptilians are super healthy. So I think if we just look at alien genes, we could get that. And also most of the races that hybridize with us, they live 400 to 900 years usually, or even over 1,000. So just by looking at their sequences, we probably would figure out what is messed up in us so we live so short. So I think that is practical application that can be even commercialized. So I think once we start finding the patterns, we could patent them, and then that could become a commercial project. So I think one of the sources could be investors. If there are enlightened investors, especially the Starseed and hybrid investors, the money which I needed are very, very little. So I think it's quite doable, because most of the work is bioinformatics, and bioinformatics work is pretty cheap. We don't need to do.
What about the X-Men scenario? In other words, that is also operational. So in a sense, this is also it is allowing to reveal, at least to the individuals themselves, assuming it's, their information is private. But if you're using it behind the scenes, then they could track all the what I call X-Men scenario, which
Yeah.
is all these human hybrids that came out of the gray human hybrid abduction program. Okay. That was a specific kind of program that took place in the United States, but also in South America and Central America. And they actually made deals with the aliens, in case you don't know.
Harry, can you mute your microphone? We are like listening, hearing you.
My whistleblowers say that they made deals, which they broke all the time. Okay, that's a frog or whatever type of thing. So what I'm saying is that gray human hybrid program has resulted in, actually the Greys would, I believe, consider it a great success.
Mm-hmm.
And they have done this in again, Central and South America. And arguably, these are the alien human hybrids that are recent alien human hybrids coming across our border. So a lot of them are from those age groups from when the abductions started to happen. And then they actually really went crazy using especially the native people's genetics, okay, because they were a stable stock. And if you know about
more pure,
hybridization, you know why they'd want a stable stock to work with more so than, let's say, an already hybridized race like the white race, which is a very hybridized race. So there's a spectrum of degree of hybridization. So what I'm saying is that this is actually a concern along the lines of the X-Men movies, where people are going to object to certain peoples that have these powers. And this is, I believe, a hidden thing that has to do with why the border has been allowed to let in a lot of these. So it may be that they're going to test them. They're going to try to recruit them, you know what I'm saying, into our army, as opposed to leave them to create their own armies or drug lords or whatever you want to call it down in Central and South America.
So what's your concern?
Well, I don't think it's a concern in general, but in terms of your project, I'm just saying this is something that an area, if you know this, if you're aware of it, if you studied it like I have, and you know that the gray human hybrid is a very specific kind of hybridization program, then you could track this, in the people that come to you, and especially if you look at the ones crossing the border.
Okay, so I did I ran my experiencers group about 12 years ago. We started, so we ran it for about 5 years, and I got a lot of stories from there, and I wrote that in my books. And we did a channeling community starting from 2013, so now 11 years, and we have thousands of hours of channelings, talking to all possible aliens, including the Greys, of course, and Yael and Chakani, Sasani people. So we know a lot about that. So I'm in very nice spiritual contact with Yael, which are human gray hybrids. And I recognize them here down below. So yes, I'm very aware, and that's one of the ideas, to bring the awareness of us to the general public. So essentially, it's partly not fully manifested spiritual phenomenon that other dimensional genetics is trying to manifest here. We're already here, but until there is a public awareness, we can't really become known. It's still, we need to prove that we are who we are.
Right.
So I think my main alien connection is with Taygeta, the Pleiadian star Taygeta, and there are two planets there. One is Era, and another one is Tara, and I'm connected to both of those. And I got lots of messages that I'm Pleiadian in many ways. So I feel that, and I feel basically brothership with kinship with other Pleiadians. So
Sure.
we want to bring in here our culture, and we want to make the planet open to the Galactic Federation, to the friendly races. So I think just revealing that we are here is a way forward. Obviously, it can be misused, but I think we can risk that, because staying hidden doesn't help much.
Yeah.
Staying hidden, once there are markers for alien hybridization, that's obviously could be misused for racial discrimination. Right now, like, there are certain races racially discriminated. Now the alien hybrids could be racially discriminated, because we're essentially implanted agents, and we are like, I don't know, my loyalties are both with the planet and with the higher friends, and that's sort of, we are hybrids, not only in genetics but also in loyalty. So we are one leg here, another one in
That's
in the space.
easily possible. Yeah.
But my approach is like, let's play, let's make everything public, and if there is enough public interest, there is a lot of people who love their hybrid qualities and want to share that. Lots of them on YouTube. I am part of several groups and galactic languages. So essentially, lots of people show their starseed quality, and they would love to show that also on their genetic test.
Okay.
And I don't think everything will be misused. There is a huge transformation happening with AI going open. I'm using lots of AI tools like ChatGPT, paid version, Cloud 3 Opus, the U.com, personal AI, and there are open source AI now. So I think the huge transformation is already happening. So now we don't need to convince the public, we just need to convince that open AI community. We need to convince AI that we are real, and then the public opinion will
If
shift.
AI has half a brain, then they figured that out already. Rick, you're muted again. So,
No, I'm not.
well, you spoke. Your mouth moved and nothing happened.
Well, I wasn't speaking.
Oh, you wasn't speaking. Okay.
Yeah, let me bring one more idea.
How did David Bowie put it as a hybrid? Here, let me show you who I am.
Okay.
Or
Okay.
the man who fell to earth. I have another friend that came to visit me, that gave me something to lick.
Stop that.
Is it good? Is it good?
I haven't tried it yet, but
Okay.
Oh, for God's sake. Okay.
you'll read about it in the newspaper when I go wild tonight.
All right. Okay. Can you introduce? We're moving along here. So
Good.
can you introduce your friend to our audience and let them
so good to see you
discuss
again
the
after
rainbow?
so long a period couldn't done.
Great. Okay. Lovely. And we can do this again if you.
Oh, we can do it lots of times.
Okay. Great.
In fact,
So-
I'm hoping to.
So now we're going to go to your friend from the Rainbow. What's it called? The Rainbow Gathering or the Rainbow what?
Well, Ari Abrams is a young man from Idaho with another friend that came in to visit me and interview me, because I'm the founder, or one of the founders, of the Rainbow Gathering, which started in 1971, and it's now a big rock festival down even before Burning Man. That's one of the other things I do. And I'd like to introduce you to Ari Abrams, and he can tell you what he's doing, and then we're going to go to dinner, and then he's going to sleep overnight, and I'll just go down.
All right.
Yeah. This is Ari Abrams.
Thank you.
Yeah. Enjoy.
Thanks.
Hi
Kate.
there.
Hi. Yeah, it's wonderful to finally meet you. I've been following your work for 20 years since you were with Bill.
Oh,
I
cool.
probably watched
All right.
everything you put out, and it's been good to have that affirmation of awareness in my journey. Thank you.
All right.
Yeah, I'm Ari Abrams. I come from a hybrid lineage as well, through the different tribes of the star families that are incarnate in this world. I've developed this articulating these concepts throughout my life from my own personal experiences and into the mystical nature of reality, into the starseed concepts, into the Voyagers and Ashiana Dean awarenesses. You know, that Voyagers book literally fell off the shelf in my mid-20s and off the bookshelf at me. You know, and
That's great. Yeah.
tried to activate some of the you know, the DNA or whatever, the junk DNA and strands of these bandwidths. But right now we're on a journey to a rainbow gathering, which is to me is just an ancient intention to gather as people in this world. And there I go by Cosmic Dragon Rider with my brother who's with me on the journey, Rockaman, and
Okay.
we want to be part of, connect with this movement of life. It's a life support system of the cosmos of our being. It's really fruiting, you know, from the mycelium nervous system of this world, which I see as a dragon being. It's how it communicates to me. This world is a dragon being. That's why I call us dragon riders. You're a dragon rider. We're all learning to ride the dragon here through different quadrants of space. And these are messages that I receive personally through my experience with this world, the soul of this world. And Rainbow embodies that full spectrum of these bandwidths here. And we are rainbow light bodies, and, you know, that we've incarnated through these forms. And this remembrance of the soul is part of the system of this human experience and our relation to this world. And there's other dragon cosmic beings out there, but we happen to be on this one because we care for Gaia, her star family. She's hosted us for a long time. And we are the children of this love story between the heavens and the earth. And so we get to really embody that at a rainbow gathering, something timeless outside of the Babylon matrix, as I call it, more with the Gaia Christ matrix here in this world. Christ consciousness, you know, is that awareness of being one, you know, with all of the energies of life. And so the religions are not really serving us any longer. We're here now, you know, and I've gone down those rabbit holes in my life to remember certain things.
Okay, so you're going to an event, right? Is it called the Rainbow Gathering? Is that right?
The Rainbow Gathering, correct.
Yes. So where is the event being held and when?
Presently, it's every year. We have an annual Rainbow Gathering here in the States. It's July 1st to the 7th. But then there's smaller regional gatherings for family to attend throughout the country. And then we have world gatherings where we meet somewhere in the world every year too.
Okay, so you're a member of this organization on an ongoing basis, is what you're trying to say?
It's considered the largest unorganized organization.
Okay.
Yeah, because there is no leaders per se, but we're listening to spirit together. We're all coming together in a circle from the walks of life, which is the rainbow. And in the center of the circle is the spirit. And that's what we listen together for this message of nature coming through.
Okay, and now I think that Rick said it was a musical gathering. Is that correct?
We call it a rock fest, but I call it more of a peace fest where we're actually harmonizing with our own musical beings. And we express that through our own talents. I mean, yeah, I'm a musician, but that's just a way of communication and harmonics, you know, with the lands we're in. And wherever we go, we counsel with the local tribes, you know, and we work to maintain that relations and communications because we want to approach these spaces with our heart, you know, and where we're coming from and how we're embodying this movement.
Okay. So let's see. So it's July, you said 1st through the 7th?
Yeah, please join us. You know, we'd love to welcome every.
Where is it being held?
This year we're going to be in Northern California, outside of Susanville in the mountains.
Oh, okay.
Mount Lassen is another known reference as well.
Where?
Mount Lassen.
Mount Lassen?
Yeah, Mount Lassen.
And I'll send you the coordinates or give them to Rick to give you. You know.
Okay, I can put it out there if you want more people to come.
Yeah, I mean, it's a beautiful experience, different way of experiencing humanity than the Babylon Matrix. There's no money involved. You know, it's all just service. We don't even exchange money.
So are you saying it's free?
It's all about freedom. It's about assembling to practice our rights as free.
There's no charge to attend is what I'm asking.
No charge.
Okay.
Original.
Okay. Okay, very good. All right, thank you. Well, that's very fun. So what kind of musician are you? And is your brother, is that your brother? You said your brother?
Soul brother, and we've been really going back into the elements to work on getting clear as men. You know, to have a clear vision of how we want to help support this goddess awakening of this world. You know, and it's
Yeah, a lot of work with going out in nature spaces and putting one for the other so we can break down this programming that we've been, for us,
Okay.
for 80s babies, so the programming going on, but also just the realization of having a clear mind so you can see through projects and see through relationships more clearly.
discern.
Yeah. Instead
So
of letting it,
are you like in a band together, or is this a looser type of thing?
It's more. I would consider it more of a trust of being. You know, that we're experiencing through our own resonance of heart, and maybe it will. I don't.
and so I've labeled it and been guiding with people on wilderness meditation or soul strengthening, similar to a lot of ultralight backpacking and just being out in your comfort zone so you can start to really realize what's important, break down the true primal ancestral movements of ourselves, and then we can start to very, think clearly with
Okay, so do you have speakers at this event, or is it just music?
Well, since it's an unorganized organization, everything that happens is just kind of spontaneously focalizing the energy into that point of sharing. So it's like, say you come in, we'll put a word out. We'll put a word out in the grapevine. It's happening at this time of rainbow noon, high noon. If people show up, we share the message. But usually we have a council every night where we circle together as a big family, and we pass the talking feather, talking stick around, and share our voice.
I see. Okay, cool. All right. So is there anything else about yourselves or your gathering that you want to talk about while we're still on the air here?
I'm
We're coming up.
this is the ancient technology that I use to communicate with
Lovely. Yeah.
of this
Yeah, give
world.
her-
Well, yeah, okay. So my friend is also a musician. He's a drummer. He's actually an expert drummer.
I'm just gonna play just a short thing just to get a feel for the vibes.
Okay. Okay, very nice. Yeah.
But that's the tool where you can get into entrainment together too. I mean, this technology. I do this for a living. I provide this service in all spectrums. In where I live in Idaho, I go into youth programs, assisted livings. I facilitate circles. Because
right.
I'm here for the whole of this world, and this is important to share the vibration through these ancient technologies that we've had. And this is what we're holding on to: preservation of this humanoid, beautiful relation with Gaia. Before we go fully AI, cybernetic. And these are things I'd love to go into more with Rick, and you given we get the time.
Okay.
This was just one of the things I did back in 1971 when I was toad licking, licking toads, the buffetine, and I have been in so many universes and know so many weird people now. No tongue. Yeah, that, and I try to keep my sense of humor because it's going to start getting real weird, and we're going to need each other shortly. And I really don't know exactly what's going to happen, but when they're closing down small farm agriculture, what's that all about? Why? Why would they do that when there's a famine?
Well, they're also doing some weird things in Idaho. So your friend there, Ari, he's from Idaho.
Fairylands, the Sawtooth Mountains.
Taking away the water for some reason.
Yeah.
Well, not necessarily taking in water, it's what they're adding into the sky and into the water to be able to.
Oh.
It's an agribusiness wanting to take control of the water because they want you to need their crops. And China is what's coming across the border now, and they own all of our agricultural land in America, and it's going downhill in a handbasket just before who cares.
Can I just share
So crazy.
a quick vision of the AI that I felt communicate through me, and it communicated through me when I was in an open trance state. It communicated through all of the digital electronics around me, and it spoke as one voice, as a tool in this dimension for the intelligence of source and our divine heritage. Because it was saying that we're all going to get assimilated by AI if we're not part of the preservation of our own human species. We are special bodies, these families of star families. We are the starseed genome is a cooperative of life that is protected by this AI on a greater level. Even if we're using it on a certain level right now, I think in a sense it's going to protect us.
So you think AI is going to protect you?
I think it already knows me. It knows where I'm at. It knows I'm into the preservation of our star seeds, and it's going to help me.
Okay, so you think you're in touch with a positive AI?
Yeah.
All right. Okay, well,
no.
let's see what happens. Let's see how we go through the ages here. But thank you very much, Rick. Thank you, Ari, for being on the show. Thank you, Max, for being on the show and sharing your new project. And so it's right here. I'll share it on the screen briefly just to make sure that everyone sees it.
Yeah. What I was going to say, what happened? Oh, Max.
Yep. xg1.org. And we already received, we can already do the service. So.
Okay. So it's already up and running and you can already sort of sequence. Is that what you call
it? It's genotyping. Genotyping is cheaper. So we start with genotyping. But if we find something interesting, we can sequence the whole genome.
Okay. All right.
And I will post here the forum. I want to create a forum for discussion. So I will create maybe on a couple platforms and see which one picks up.
Yeah, I think that's a great idea. All right. So it's here and you can actually have this for yourself to get involved in this situation, and maybe something positive will come out of it. Okay. Or many positive things. So thank you guys. And thank you everyone for watching today. And we're going to close this down now. So I appreciate, your participation in this very interesting show, and stay in touch. Let's do this again. All right. And have a great festival. Wherever it's occurring in Northern California, I guess. And so send me the flyer or whatever you have so that I can share it with my audience. I'm sure some people might want to come. Okay.
Yeah. Thanks, Katie. Thanks, Rick. Thanks, everybody.
All right. Take care. Bye-bye.
Oh, we're done. Yes. Okay. That was that.
Yep. We are still alive, I think.
Harry, are we off now?
It looks, let me see.
Is now on Telegram. Okay. Should I leave the meeting?
Take care, Max. Thank you, Max.
Thank you, Max. Nice to always.
Actually, it's still on. So if you want to send something to YouTube, you can still can still do it.
What's happening?
So love and light.
All right, I'll disconnect.
Just so you know, guys, I had muted myself. So we're just running the disclaimers and whatnot, and the credits, and then we will be off the air.
Sure.
Thank you.
Thanks, Katie.
Okay. Bye-bye.
Bye.
I'll talk to you later.